Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at Ginkgo Bioworks Holdings.
Inc. DNA, ticker symbol DNA.
Then, hey, there we go.
Yeah.
Ginkgo's not your typical biotech company.
No.
They actually build themselves as, get this, a horizontal platform for cell programming.
It sounds futuristic, but you know what they're doing is actually engineering biology itself.
It's wild, right? It really does sound like it's straight out of science fiction. Like, imagine, custom microbes that can, create eco-friendly products or even groundbreaking therapies.
Yeah.
It's
like a biological factory of the future, really.
like a biological fact. I mean, okay, that sounds amazing and all, but, how does that actually translate into, a profitable business? How do they actually make money with this organism foundry, is what they call it, right?
Well, they design and build these, custom microbes for all kinds of clients. And they've got a lot of ways to make money, too. Upfront research fees, milestone payments for projects as they progress, royalties on successful applications, licensing their technology, and even strategic collaborations.
Yeah, it's not just like one set thing. They've got their fingers in a lot of different revenue streams.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, all of this cutting-edge research and development, I mean, it's got to come at a cost, right?
Right, yeah. Ginkgo has actually invested over $1 billion in R&D. And one key area that they're focused on is engineering microbes to produce nitrogen fertilizer in a more sustainable way.
So they're not just inventing things for the sake of inventing things. They're also really focusing on these really important issues like sustainability. I mean, that's a really big deal, especially, we all know traditional fertilizer production is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions.
Right, exactly.
So it's great to see a company putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, with all this complex business going on, I mean, who's actually leading this charge? Who are the masterminds behind Ginkgo?
Well, it all started with the co-founders, Jason Kelly and Rush Machete, both MIT alumni, so, brilliant minds. And they've really brought together a team of top scientists and engineers, a lot of them with PhDs in biological engineering.
So they're not just business people.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the scientists, these are the engineers on the ground actually doing the work.
Right, and who are really passionate about, kind of harnessing the power of synthetic biology.
Now, let's be real for a second. The biotech industry, it's kind of, infamous for being a financial roller coaster. So how are their Ginkgo actually doing? How are their financials shaping up amidst all this innovation?
Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag, honestly.
Yeah.
While they have shown really impressive revenue growth, they are still operating at a loss, which is, pretty typical for a company in this growth phase. But it's partly due to, all the heavy investment in R&D and the fact that they're expanding.
Sure.
Now, they have recently implemented a restructuring plan, which is aimed at, kind of cutting costs and streamlining operations. And they're aiming to hit adjusted EBITDA break-even by mid-2026.
So, I mean, that's still a few years out, but they are making moves to try to get things under control and move toward profitability.
Yeah.
Now, before we really dive into, Ginkgo's market standing and all the risk factors that might be involved, I do want to just tease something a little bit really fascinating. Ginkgo actually has this connection to the recent COVID-19 pandemic. Their biosecurity unit played a really, really pivotal role during that time. And we're going to get into all those details and really unpack what that means for the future of Ginkgo in the second half of our deep dive today.
Absolutely. So how is Ginkgo viewed, by the market, by investors? Are they excited about this or are they a little wary?
Yeah, I mean, are investors buying into this whole, organism foundry idea? Are they embracing the potential or are they kind of holding back because of all the financial stuff we were just talking about?
I'd say it's a bit of a mixed bag. There's definitely a lot of excitement around their potential, right? I mean, they could disrupt so many industries with this platform technology.
Yeah.
But there are concerns about, how they're going to get to profitability. And of course, there's always competition.
It's a classic high-risk, high-reward situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people can be all in on this, thinking about exponential growth, and then others who can be a lot more cautious and want to see, some actual results.
Right. And even the analysts are kind of all over the place. Some are saying, Ginkgo's got that first mover advantage. The market is huge. But others are saying, hold on, let's see how they actually execute. They're still losing money.
So it really sounds like it's up to the individual investor to really kind of dig in and do their homework, assess their own, risk tolerance, and really think about their investment goals before jumping in.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, let's switch gears a little bit and look at the ownership structure of Ginkgo. I think that could be really telling, right? Who's actually controlling the company? that can give us some insights into, where they're headed and how stable they might be.
Absolutely.
So who are the major players? Are we talking mostly big institutions, or do the founders still have a big chunk of the pie?
It's actually both. You've got some big institutional investors, Bank of America, Bailey Gifford. They all have significant stakes,
Okay.
which shows, some confidence from the market.
Yeah, those are some pretty big names, so that definitely says something. But what about those founders? Are they still involved day to day, or have they kind of moved on to other things?
No, they're still very much involved, very committed to their vision, and they hold a significant stake in the company, too.
Oh, that's good to hear. I always think that's a good sign when the founders are still, all in on their own company.
Mm.
All right, so we've got a sense of, what the market thinks, who owns the company. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty, the risk assessment.
Okay, yeah. A good way to do that is to look at their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. That classic SWOT analysis.
Okay, so SWOT it is. Let's start with the good stuff. What are Ginkgo's strengths? What are they doing really well?
Well, their biggest strength is, the platform technology itself. It's not just about, making one specific microbe. It's a system that can be applied to all kinds of industries and all sorts of problems.
So it's a horizontal platform idea that really gives them flexibility, makes them more adaptable than a company that's, just focused on one little niche.
Exactly. And they've got a ton of patents, too. They're protecting their innovation. They've got that competitive edge.
Brains, tech, legal protection. Sounds like they've got a good foundation. But every company has weaknesses, right?
Hmm.
So what are some of the challenges Ginkgo is facing?
Well, the financials are still, a bit of a concern. They are working on it, but until they can actually turn a profit and have positive cash flow, some investors are going to stay away.
Right. I mean, they've got to show that they can actually take these scientific breakthroughs and turn them into products that people will buy, and that will actually make money.
For sure. Another challenge is scalability. It's one thing to prove it works in the lab, but can they actually ramp up production to meet demand? And, they're relying a lot on emerging markets, which can be unpredictable.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're sailing into uncharted waters. Huge potential, but also a lot of unknowns. Now, let's look at the flip side. What opportunities are out there for Ginkgo?
Well, sustainability is huge right now. Consumers, businesses, everyone wants eco-friendly products, and Ginkgo is perfectly positioned to provide that with their bio-based technology.
So they're riding that green wave,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Think about their work with fertilizer, They're also looking at bioremediation using microbes to clean up pollution. And then there's personalized medicine. I mean, huge potential there.
Yeah, personalized medicine, it's like almost like science fiction coming to life, tailoring treatments to each person's, DNA.
It's incredible, right? And Ginkgo could be a major player in making that happen.
Wow. All right. So opportunities galore. But of course, there are always threats, right? What could potentially derail Ginkgo's plans?
Well, competition is fierce. There's a lot of money flowing into synthetic biology, and new companies are popping up all the time.
Yeah. So they're not going to be able to just, rest on their laurels. They've got to keep innovating, keep pushing the boundaries. What else?
Regulations. The whole regulatory landscape for synthetic biology is incredibly complex, and it's constantly changing. Ginkgo needs to work closely with regulators to make sure they're doing everything by the book, but also advocating for policies that support innovation.
It's a tough balancing act for sure. Okay, so we've covered Ginkgo's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We've got the full picture. Now let's wrap up our deep dive with a final conclusion and, of course, reveal that end hook we teased earlier.
All right, let's bring it all together.
So we've really gone deep on Ginkgo Bioworks, haven't we? We've looked at their business model, their leadership, their financials, how the market perceives them. What's the big takeaway here? Is this a company that's, on the verge of something huge, or are the risks just too big to ignore?
It's tricky. I mean, they have huge potential. They really are pioneers in synthetic biology. And that platform technology, it could be a game changer in so many different industries. But they've got a long way to go before they're consistently profitable. And the market, it's a wild ride, so it's not a sure thing.
So it sounds like for anyone thinking about investing, they really need to weigh those potential rewards with the risks. It's not like, a buy it and forget it kind of stock.
Right. It needs careful consideration, and you got to keep watching it closely. You have to really understand the science behind what they're doing, what markets they're aiming for and how they're planning to grow. It's not for the risk-averse investor.
Now, I want to circle back to something we mentioned earlier, that connection to the COVID-19 pandemic. What was that all about?
Oh, right. So Ginkgo's biosecurity unit, Concentric, they were really active during the pandemic, helping track the virus.
Oh,
They've got this biosurveillance network. And they even contributed to vaccine development.
wow. So they weren't just sitting on the sidelines. They were actually in the thick of it, using their tech to help fight the virus.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that really shows the potential of synthetic biology. I mean, it's not just about future pandemics, it's about climate change, food security, all these big global challenges.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it. Like, could they engineer microbes that capture carbon?
Hmm.
Or, create crops that can survive droughts? It feels like there are no limits.
It's a really exciting field. And Ginkgo is right at the forefront. I mean, they're pushing the boundaries, and their work could have a massive impact on, well, all of us in the years to come.
So whether you're, an experienced investor or just someone who's interested in where science is going, how it intersects with technology, I mean, Ginkgo Bioworks is definitely a company to watch.
And if you want to learn more, dig into their financials, see what analysts are saying, or just find out more about synthetic biology in general, check out the Stock Analytics AI YouTube channel. We break down complex stuff and make it easy to understand.
And while you're there, drop a comment. Let us know what stocks you think we should cover in our future deep dives. We're always looking for interesting companies that are, shaping the future.
And one last thing. All the info we talked about today, it's for educational purposes only, not investment advice. Always talk to a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
That's all for our deep dive into Ginkgo Bioworks. Hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of synthetic biology. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.